Hello, this is an statistics 1 question. I'm not very sure about the paper that this comes from, but it's perfect to illustrate the problem that I want to show you, the mistake. It's a histogram question. You have a teacher selects a random sample of 56 students and records to the nearest hour the time spent watching television in a particular week. So you have hours, number of students, and they give you just the midpoint for help. Find the midpoints of the 21-25 hours and the 31-40 hours group. So these two midpoints that we are missing. Remember the midpoint, we can just add the numbers together and divide by 2. The thing that you sometimes forget in these questions or don't realize is that this is a continuous variable. It's rounded to the nearest hour. So that means between 20 and 21, we will have some hours there. We will have 20.1, 20.2, 20.25, something like that. And when we round to the nearest hour, those goes to 20 or to 21. So actually, the intervals are really between, so for example, the first one will be between 0.5 hours and 10.5. The next one will be between 10.5 and 20.5. Next one between 20.5 and 25.5, because we are rounding, right? So we have to add these bits of 0.5 up and down of our intervals. Yeah. So if you check, for example, this interval, this interval is actually between 20.5 and 25.5. Not between 21 and 25. And you have to consider that for some parts of the question. When we find the midpoints, it really doesn't matter, because if we find the midpoints between 21 and 25, it's the same that if we consider 0.5 less and 0.5 more, the midpoint will be the same. So it really doesn't matter for the first part of the question, but it will matter after. So midpoint is 21 plus 25 divided by 2, or 20.5 plus 25.5 divided by 2 is the same number, and this is 23. And the other one is this one, so it's 31 plus 40 divided by 2 is 35.5. So these are our midpoints, and these are our two first marks. Then histogram was drawn to represent this data. The 11-20 group was represented by a bar that is 4 centimeters and 6 centimeters high. So we are talking about this bar, 11, 20. So this bar here. And they are asking us the width and the height of the 26-30 group. So we are talking now about this one here. And this is the common mistake. This width, the class width, is not 20 minus 11, is not 9, is 20.5 minus 10.5. So the class width here is 10, not 9. And this is the mistake. So class width is 10. So the one that we have to find is 26 minus 30. The class width is not 30 minus 26, is not 4. It's 30.5 minus 25.5, which is 5. So class width is 5. So if this class is represented by 4 centimeters width, and is double than this one, the width of this one will be half of 4 centimeters, which is 2 centimeters. Yeah, so for B, I'm going to do it in the next page. For B, the width of the bar is going to be 4 centimeters. No, we say 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters, because it's half of the other. Then to find the height, we can consider that in the histograms, the area is proportional to the frequency, or the frequency is proportional to the area. It doesn't matter how you write, it doesn't matter. So the area is proportional to the frequency. So if we have the first bar, if we consider this bar, the area of that bar is 4 times 6, so 24, is going to be proportional to the frequency. And in that bar, we are representing 15 students. So times 15. So we have a constant of proportional that is going to be 24 over 15, and that will apply to any bar in the histogram. So for the second bar that we are representing, we know the area is going to be our constant times by the frequency. In this second bar, we don't know the area, that's what we need to find, but the frequency is 13. 13. So the area is going to be 25 over 15 times 13, which is 20.8. That's the area of that second bar, but we know the width, so the height will be the area divided by the width. So because the area is just a rectangle, so height times width. So the height is going to be the 20.8 divided by 2 centimeters, which is 10.4 centimeters. So this is the width, this is the height. And you have 3 marks in this question. I think 3 marks? Yeah, 3 marks. 1 is for method and the other 2 for the 2 answers. And the problem with the mistake is if you have here, instead of 10, that the class width is 9 and this class is 4, you cannot even find the width correctly because one is not half of the other. Yeah, so that's why you have to be careful with this, and be aware that when the intervals don't overlap, so here, when I don't have the same number here and here, I will have 0.5 in one side and 0.5 in the other. Then estimate the mean and standard deviation of the time spent watching television of these students. It's a lot of marks, but it's actually quite easy or quite simple. It's just a calculation. It's just calculator thing. So the mean, I'm going to call it X, is going to be the sum of the frequencies times by the values, or this will be the midpoint of the interval. Remember when I have intervals, divided by the sum of the frequencies, which is 56 because we have 56 students. So what we are going to do is to multiply frequency by the midpoint, frequency by the midpoint, and so on. We are just doing that with the calculator. So 6 times 5.5 is the first one, plus the other one was 15 times 15.5, 15.5, all of them, and the last one was 3 and 50. So you just put that all in the calculator, divide by 56 because we have 56 students, and that way you find the mean, and the mean is 23.5 hours. So this is our answer, and you have 2 marks for this bit, one for using the correct method and the other just for the answer. The standard deviation, we are going to do the square root of frequencies but multiplied by the squared values divided by total frequency minus the mean that we just found a square. So we can do that. You have to be careful because now you are multiplying this midpoint squared by the frequency, this midpoint squared by the frequency, midpoint squared by the frequency, right? But you are not multiplying by the frequency squared. Sometimes you do that. So what we are doing is square root of 6 was the frequency, 6 is the frequency, times 5.5 squared, 5.5 squared, plus 15 times 15.5 squared, plus 3 is the frequency again, 3 times 50 squared. So you are squaring the values but not the frequencies, and all divided by 56, and I don't have space, so I'm going to move it down here. All minus the mean that I just found, so 23.5 squared. You put that in the calculator, you find the square root, and then you have your standard deviation, which is 10.7. Yes. Yeah, so it's not complicated, it's just easy to make a mistake and to forget one of the numbers or write a plus instead of a times. So it's quite easy, just go slowly, don't do these things quickly because it's 5 marks and it's a shame, just make a mistake for that. Then for D, use linear interpolation to estimate the median length of time spent watching television. Again, this one, if you have the interval wrong, the interpolation will be wrong. So you could lose the marks again if you don't have the correct interval. The median. We have, this is D, right? D. The median, the Q2, is midpoint of 56 data, which is 28th. So we have to check where the 28th value is. I have 6 values up to here, then 15 more is 21 values, and then I have 32 values here. So that means that my median is going to be in this interval, in this class with, I don't know how to... Yeah, so my median is going to be in that interval. So if I use interpolation for that, I will have in my interval, my sides will be 20.5 and 25.5. So 20.5 and 25.5 and no 21 and 25. Then my median will be somewhere. And if I check the number of students that I have, up to here I have 21, so this one will be the 21st, and up to here I will have 11 more, so this one will be the 32nd. So if I organize my students, I will have here the 21st, and here I will have my 32nd student, and I'm looking for the 28th, so I want to see which one is the 28th. So if I use interpolation, I know that this proportion here is the same as this proportion of that ratio here. So Q2 minus the small value divided by the long value is 25.5 minus 20.5 is going to be the same that if I use the order. So 28 minus 21 divided by 32 minus 21. So I'm doing this distance divided by distance might be the same that this distance divided by this distance. This is just a normal equation, so you do this with a calculator, multiply by this and add the 20.5, and then you get that Q2 is 23.68 hours. Always check that this is in your interval, so it must be between 20.5 and 25.5. If not, something is wrong. Yeah, so check. In this case, looks like is correct. Last part of the question, no, that was E, sorry. Now it's E. The teacher estimated the lower quartile and the upper quartile being 15.8 and 29.3, and they are asking us about the skewness of the data. You remember that one measure of the skewness when you have the quartiles is to check which one is larger, Q3 minus Q1, no, minus Q2, compare with Q2 minus Q1. So we need to know which one is larger. Q3 minus Q2 is Q3 is given, so he found out that is 29.3. So 29.3 minus Q2 is what I just found, that was 23.68. And then Q2, 23.68 minus Q1 that he found is 15.8. Minus 15.8. So this one, the first one, Q3 minus Q2 is 5.62, and the other one is 7.88. So that means this one is larger. So Q2 minus Q1 is larger than Q3 minus Q2. That means we have negative skewness. Yeah, and that's what you have to do. Skewness. Yeah, you compare Q3 and minus Q2 with Q2 minus Q1. And that's it all for this question. It's just remember that mistake. So the interval is really not 11 to 20, it's 11.5 to 20.5. That won't affect the midpoint, but that will affect other things like the interpolation or the bars if you have to do something with an histogram. And that's all. Hello! If you liked the video, I have a free last-minute revision course the week before your exams. The link is in the description below. I'm working with international levels for Edexcel, but if you are an UK student, you will find this very helpful as well because the questions are identical, you just have less topics. I have other courses through the year, they are all in my website and the link is as well in the description below. I would love to help you.